Let's get Matt Norlander in to talk about the night and day that was. This was a day of upsets, including the last game of the day. Boy, I'm not even sure it really was an upset. You watched that game for 40 minutes. I felt like this wasn't like a fluky game or one team really just sort of played out of their shoes or one team was terrible. I thought they just sort of slugged it out for 40 minutes and were the better club. What did you see with the orange and black against the orange and black?
Yeah, you're right about that. I did see an upset. Oklahoma State's a better basketball team than Oregon State, but Oregon State has played better over the past 2+ weeks. It has now won, I believe, 5 straight, maybe 6 straight elimination games. Because remember, it had to win the auto bid out of the Pac-12 to even get into the tournament. And now Oregon State's into the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1982. And we've got double digits galore moving on to the second weekend. We've got a truly weird tournament. As for this specific game, though, credit to Wayne Tinkle. And Ethan Thompson played wonderfully. You mentioned the foul shooting. That was one reason. I have to harp on Oklahoma State here for a second, though. Oregon State was keeping that window open. Oklahoma State missed God knows how many bunnies. Avery Anderson took a couple of bad shots. There were about 3 possessions in a 6-possession stretch in the final 2 minutes where Oklahoma State did not even get the ball in Cade Cunningham's hands. In fact, Cunningham had the steal, the triple that actually brought this to within a 1-possession difference. And then the subsequent 4 or 5 possessions for OSU were a disaster. It's got to be so frustrating for Cowboys fans to have the potential #1 pick in the 21 NBA draft on your roster. And listen, Cade got a couple shots up there. He missed them as well. He did not play on the level of a #1 NBA pick. Absolutely did not have it there. The officiating didn't help. I thought it was overly ticky-tacky. Oregon State deserves to win.
You know, it's a good point by you. And we thought it was inconsistent, where sometimes guys aren't getting touched and blowing the whistle, and other times guys are basically getting knocked off their feet with the ball in their hands, and there was no whistle. It's almost like they're trying to make it up. You're right. I did not think the officiating was great. Look, all my point was Oregon State shot it better. They looked more skilled. They're better from the free throw line. They're better from the three-point line. They had 21 more rebounds in the game. I felt like they had a better plan going in. This was not Abilene Christian that clung to the window for dear life against a team that obviously was better. That was my only thing. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Finish up with Oklahoma State and Cade Cunningham.
No, absolutely. And Cunningham's final stat line here, I just wanted to 24 points, 4 of 11 from three-point range, 6 of 20 from the field. He finishes with 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 steals, just 1 turnover. I mean, he played well. He needed more shooters around him. Oklahoma State, we are not given the potential #1 pick versus Loyola Chicago next week in the Sweet 16. We will have Oregon State versus Loyola. One of those teams will play in the Elite 8 there. For Oklahoma State, it was a wonderful year. Remember, this was a program that last June was given a postseason ban, but is currently still appealing that. So we kind of wait and see, will this team even be eligible to make the 2022 NCAA tournament? Are we looking at a minimum of a 2-year break for the school to make it to the NCAA tournament? You're able to get such a high draft pick, quality talent like Cunningham into your program. You hope you can parlay that into, a second weekend appearance. Oklahoma State couldn't do it. There's many reasons why. I also thought they weren't settled down the stretch. They didn't really run their offense that much. Mike Boynton's team had the 2nd most quad 1 wins in the country this season, only behind Illinois. Those 2 teams were in the same region, the same top half of the region. They fell on the same day at the start of the day and the end of the day. Illinois was the first team to play and lose. Oklahoma State was the last team to play and lose. And so Oregon State will get to move on and give us quite an interesting story there. For the Cowboys, kind of a sour end to an overall successful season. But this was obviously an inconsistent second-half performance, and they couldn't come back and win it.
All right, what's the headline from this day? I mean, a lot of places you could go. You go at Loyola, battle Illinois, goes to the little guy. Pac-12 is still rolling and killing it. Rutgers just seemed like they had it, and then they didn't. Oral Roberts is the first 15 to be there. A lot of different ways to choose from. Any combination of the above. Your headline from the day is what?
The headline is Oral Roberts. Now, to me, the upset isn't this mega stunner, but come on. It's a 15 seed making the Sweet 16. It's only the 2nd time that's ever happened in NCAA tournament history. And Oral Roberts on its home court, back on campus in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Expect a miracle. Amazing, amazing stuff. That is the headline from the first half of the second round on Sunday. It's Oral Roberts moving on to play Arkansas in the Sweet 16. The number 2 headline is Loyola Chicago definitively knocking off number 1 Illinois in a coaching clinic by Porter Moser and his staff to get to the Sweet 16, 3 seasons removed from making the Final Four, knocking off number 1 Illinois in the process, and continuing on, like everything that comes with it. Sister Jean, 101 years old. It's just, this tournament's amazing. The sport's amazing. It never lets us down. I think we've had a wonderful first 4 days of the tournament, going back to the first 4. We'll wait and see what goodness awaits on a Monday NCAA tournament back half of the second half of the round. And then real quick, Pac-12 has to have a mention here. Still has not yet had a team lose a game. Every single team in the Pac-12 that made the tournament is still in the tournament, and we're down to 24 teams.
But they're going to get their shot tomorrow. They sort of ended up in the second half. They got 4 of them tomorrow, 1 of them today. But you're right. I mean, look, I sort of would have said, and I certainly don't have any problem with your headline and in the order yet. I kind of feel like, here comes the Fighting Sister Jeans again. Watch out, they might be back. Like, that to me is like, I watch that and I'm like, man, that to me is your headline. But we had a lot of great games. What was the biggest shock, surprise, upset, disappointment, like from the day? I mean, you broke down the last game of the day very effectively. You gave us your headlines effectively. Now, overall, what's your biggest shock or surprise, whether it's good or bad, from the day?
I'm going to step back and go broad here. Why don't you take a look at the Big 12? Big 10's getting a lot of grief, as it should. Big 12, how many teams does it have going into the second weekend right now?
Well, let's see. We have,
One.
yeah,
It's
there you
Baylor.
go. And it's a good one. I mean, it's Baylor.
It's a very good one.
And where are
it's the
they
best team
done
in
on
the
the
league.
other side? I'm looking at it now.
Texas. Yeah, well, we got more tomorrow, but right now, Texas, out. West Virginia, out. Oklahoma State, out. So unfortunately, Texas Tech, out. The Big 12 is really, really good. People thought that it was better at the top than the Big 10, and the Big 10 has had some stumbling. Don't get me wrong, it has. But it's still got Iowa, 2 seed, Michigan, a 1 seed, and Maryland, of course, the Terps.
We will see where they have it when they're playing their first. We'll see who they have when they win their 2 games
Exactly.
there. Fair enough.
But anyway, my big picture, EK, is that the Big 12 has fallen short of its own expectations. Even like Oklahoma's got to play Gonzaga tomorrow.
Yep.
Kansas, we'll see against a talented USC team.
They're underdogs.
Well, so.
They're underdogs to USC. I mean, even though it's the different
USC's
seeds,
have the best player on the
but
floor.
USC is actually favored in that game. Boy, I look and say, for me, if I'm Shaka Smart, I still have not slept a wink. Like, I should have won that game. I would beat them 98 out of 100 times. My team is out. I look at that region. It was there for the I'm just like, my head is in my hands there, and we should have some fun tomorrow with Abilene. Speaking of tomorrow, what is your game that you want to see, or headline or storyline above all other, in a day where we're going to have a bunch of great ones again?
Okay, my most anticipated game is actually Florida State versus Colorado, which is not going to be a headlining game. I think it's got the best chance of being the closest game, similar to how Texas Tech versus Arkansas was that. So that 7:45 tip, I think that could be a wonderful game. The game that I might have the most invested interest in is I predicted LSU would beat Michigan. So I want to see if a highly talented Tigers team that might have more NBA players on its roster than Michigan, and Michigan is a very trendy fade pick. Will that, I just want to see how that winds up going. And we haven't seen Oregon play. It's the only team in the field that we haven't seen play yet because VCU got knocked out. So it gets, appropriately, that was a good decision on behalf of everyone involved in making that decision, giving the Ducks the first game, let them finally play, and how they're going to do against Iowa. I think they can really challenge Iowa. I actually listen, Sunday was awesome. We got a lot of interesting results. I actually like the Monday slate overall heading in even more than what we had heading into.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.